This is National Safe Boating Week, and the Memorial Day weekend is just a couple of days away. You'll hear warnings from police: don't drink and drive a boat.
Target 2 found hundreds of people have been caught operating a boat impaired in the last 2 years in Wisconsin. And as we dug through those records, we found many of those drunk boaters have a long history of drunk driving on the roads. But we discovered Wisconsin's law doesn't consider those offenses the same thing. Sarah Thompson dug through those cases to find out if the state has a watered-down law.
How much have you had to drink today?
This is body cam video captured by a DNR conservation warden on a lake in northern Wisconsin in 2011.
What I'd like you to do is count backwards from 89 to 65.
70, 69, 68. What did you say to go do?
A breathalyzer shows a preliminary BAC of .124, exceeding the .08 legal limit. DNR conservation warden Darren Kuhn has seen similar incidents in northeast Wisconsin.
One is too many.
He's conducted field sobriety tests on dozens of boaters in his nearly 20-year career.
I'll have somebody that's suspected of intoxicated boat operation just sit on the back seat, comfortable and calm, run the procedure right there.
He has a long list of concerns with a person, drunk or high, behind the wheel of a boat.
Everyone in the car knows to slam on the brakes. There are no brakes on the boat. There are no seatbelts on the boat. There are no airbags on the boat.
In 2014, a passenger on this boat slammed his head into a steel beam on a bridge over the East River in Green Bay.
That person in that crash had sustained very serious injuries where we thought it was going to be fatal.
He survived. Police arrested the boat operator for being drunk.
Just as dangerous here as it is on the road.
As a conservation warden, I would almost argue more.
But if a drunk boater makes it back to land, a new risk.
Now they're behind a car towing a trailer through the city streets of Green Bay or the interstates that surround this and put all the motorists at risk.
Target 2 found it has happened.
I arrested him for drunk boating on the water, and the Green Bay Police Department arrested him for drunk driving in the car.
In that case, the courts dismissed the BUI and charged the man with OWI. But as we dug into the law, Target 2 found it wouldn't have mattered when it comes to penalties. Wisconsin law views boating under the influence and driving under the influence as two completely different violations. The DNR says it's one of the first things boaters ask them.
I have an OWI.
Not in the boat though, right?
No.
Yeah, they only count if you got one in the boat.
Target 2 wanted to know how often people cited for BUI also have records for driving drunk. We filed more than a dozen open records requests for BUIs in our 14-county viewing area from 2015 and 2016. We received a list of 57 people. Target 2 searched the court records of those same people and found 30% have been charged for drunk driving on the road. We found 9 drivers have a third or fourth offense, serving jail or prison time for OWI.
Concerning would be a better word. That means our people that are driving our cars or the people that we're not catching on the water are continuing to drive their vehicles home.
So how are they not caught? Kuhn tells Target 2 part of the reason may be with how hard it is to stop boaters.
No center lines, no fog lines, nothing that says you can't sort of weave on the shipping channel if you want. So yeah, there has to be a reasonable suspicion of a violation to make that stop.
So if they're weaving, you can't?
Nope, there isn't a law that says you can't weave on the water.
He can stop someone for expired registration, but those stickers are hard to see at night.
Whatever you're showing there is either expired or all worn off.
Many of the cases Target 2 found show boaters were also cited for speeding or not having their lights on after dark. But Kuhn says boaters know that's on the short list of reasons for a stop and are trying to outsmart those patrols.
A lot of times what they will do is to try to avoid being detected is to put the boat lights on prior to going into the establishment. Or instead of increasing speeds along the stretch on the Fox River where they can, they'll maintain that slow speed to make the detection that much more difficult. And it works.
But it doesn't take away the concern.
They're still going to a boat trailer, and once they get out onto the open bay where there's all sorts of navigational hazards between buoys and shoals and rock bars, it's scary. It's scary.
Penalties for first offense boating and driving while intoxicated are similar. Both are simply fines, but a BUI does not impact your driver's license. State lawmakers have made a few attempts in the last decade to change the law so BUIs and OWIs are counted together for penalties, but it has never gained enough support.
Brown County officers say 35-year-old Julian Updegrove was drunk and speeding when he crashed this boat on the bay this weekend. 3 other people were also hurt when Updegrove crashed into a rock bar on Cat Island Saturday night. He was arrested for operating under the influence and is expected to face more criminal charges, but he's still in the ICU and has not been formally charged. Action 2 News dug a little deeper and found Updegrove has been convicted of drunk driving 2 other times. This crash and our Target 2 investigation last month into Wisconsin's drunk boating laws are pushing an assemblyman from Northeast Wisconsin to change the law. Sarah Thompson shows us how.
The damage this powerboat sustained in Saturday night's crash makes an impact statistics and law enforcement can't.
I think sadly it takes more incidents like what we saw over the weekend to get people to think about the destructive capability of getting behind the wheel.
2 weeks ago, Target 2 Investigates revealed 17 of the 57 people cited for operating a boat impaired in Northeast Wisconsin in the last 2 years also had a history of drunk driving. Several of them had 3rd and 4th offense OWIs. Target 2 searched records for Julian Updegrove, the driver in this weekend's boat crash, and found he was convicted in April last year for 2nd offense OWI. But as Target 2 has found, state law says the OWI and BUI are 2 separate laws. De Pere Representative Andre Jacques says they shouldn't be.
And to think that we are essentially allowing right now people to commit a first offense OWI on 5 different types of vehicles without it counting as a repeat offense is just stunning when you find out about it.
Jacques is again looking to propose legislation that would make operating any vehicle, including motorboats or recreational vehicles like snowmobiles or ATVs, the same.
The deadly capability of operating while under the influence remains the same regardless of which vehicle you're driving.
But having tried to push legislation twice before and failing, he knows it'll be a fight again. Last session, he received angry calls and emails, reading in part, snowmobiling and ATV riding bring a lot of money to northern counties. We have enough rules the way it is. And you can find something of greater importance to find solutions for. While he says it's not easy to change any OWI laws in Wisconsin, he feels it needs to be done.
It's not that we need more laws, but we need the laws that we have to make sense and to be enforced appropriately and to have the really the effect that we hope for.
Jacques says timing is key in proposing controversial legislation and urges people to contact lawmakers with feedback. He doesn't know exactly when his bill will be ready.
From WBAY TV, coverage you can count on. Action 2 News at 6 starts now.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Bill is off tonight. Rivers, lakes, and the Bay of Green Bay will be no doubt full of boaters on what is a long holiday weekend for many of you. It is exactly why local, state, and federal authorities team up to hit the water in force as part of Operation Dry Water, targeting drunk or high boaters. Sarah Thompson has the Target 2 Investigates numbers that show why this weekend gets all the attention.
Locally, every agency will be on the water.
That should be no surprise given the weather and upcoming holiday. And based on experience, law enforcement officials have proven there is a need for extra patrols the weekend before the 4th.
Alcohol use continues to be the leading contributor to deaths on the water nationwide. So 15% of the boating fatalities included the use of alcohol.
Last year's 3-day targeted enforcement in Wisconsin revealed sobering numbers. 21 people arrested for drunk boating and 3 arrested for drugged boating. The highest blood alcohol level recorded, 0.265, more than 3 times the legal limit. The 3 years before that saw fewer impaired boaters arrested combined. Law enforcement officials hope that trend turns around this year.
So far this season, we've been happy to see a lot of sober drivers, a lot of water Gatorades and whatnot from the operators.
Last month, Target 2 dug through nearly 100 records of people cited for boating under the influence in northeast Wisconsin in 2015 and 16. Roughly 1/3 of those came in the week before and right after the 4th. While this concentrated enforcement is a big part of that, authorities point to this time of summer being especially dangerous.
With the fire over the Fox on the 4th, there's going to be hundreds of boats downtown, and people can have a great time, and it's going to be a great experience for everybody. And it only takes one person to make that situation bad for many people.
Operation Drywater technically ends Sunday, but the patrols will not. The Coast Guard reminds anyone on the water to find a sober captain.
These boating under the influence laws, they apply to everybody in canoes all the way up to these large ships coming in.
Sarah Thompson, Action 2 News, Brown County.